Welcome, Christian Metal Group. We're here today with Ray Parra.
Parra.
Parra. Let's get it right, Parra. My name's Jimmy with Christian Metal Group, and we got Jay,
That's right.
the one and only, and
Yes.
we're part of the admin team. And
hmm
so Ray has been around for a few years in the industry, and so Sacred Warrior, Worldview, Deny the Fallen. So got a lot going on. So we're glad to have you on here,
Kansas,
man.
Petra. No, just kidding.
Petra, yeah. So
And Striper, honestly.
it's yeah.
Well, no, we're going to turn the tables. Oz Fox from Striper has played on a couple of my records.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hey, actually, I got a podcast. I'm going to do one with him on the 28th, but it won't air for a week or so after that.
Wow, nice, man. We look forward to hearing that.
Yeah.
Well, man, we always like to start off with a few questions. So, what in your childhood and all, did you grow up in a religious home?
I don't want to say religious. My parents were Catholic, and but they weren't practicing Catholics. Like, they didn't go to church only at Christmas and
Yeah.
holidays and stuff like that. And my mom really was the core person in any kind of spirituality for us kids. She was just a great woman, and she's always loved the Lord. I think she, even when she passed away, she really was into Catholicism. I finally got her to stop praying to Mary. I said, "Mom, your prayers are falling on deaf ears." Finally got her to stop doing that, but she was a godly woman, And we grew up it was a rough home, man. My dad was, without really saying too much what he was into, he was a rough guy, and
Yeah.
he used to beat up my mom in front of us kids, and
Oh man.
he shot her in the neck with in front of us kids, and she
Man.
survived. And I took that and totally turned that around from what most people now. Oh, yeah, I'm in prison, but I grew up without a dad, or my dad this and that. You know what? You're like that because you chose to. Because I grew up the same way, and I chose to go the other way. So didn't really grow up in a Christian home, but my mom, she was the glue that held us all together, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you grow up in a musical home?
Yeah, actually. So, my mom, believe it or not, she used to play piano. My mom was a concert pianist. She used to play.
Wow.
The president of Mexico used to ask for my mom to come and play for him.
Wow. That's
So she
awesome.
would go play for him. Yeah. Hey, George has joined
There
us.
he is.
Hey, well, there's George. There we go.
Everybody, it's George.
It's George.
George Ochoa, George of the jungle.
George
Anyway, so
Rene
Oh, we
Ochoa.
music was, my mom was a concert pianist, like I said, and she instilled music into me. So when me and my sisters were little, they got us accordions. So accordion was the first instrument we learned to play. Then we went from accordion to violin, and then from violin, in comes this tremendous thing called a band called Kiss.
Oh, see
And I was like,
There they are again.
We've been talking about that Kiss.
that
Oh,
they
look.
they are the introduction to rock and metal for probably 90% of the people that we talk to.
Yes.
oh my gosh, bro, it's
What
Yeah.
album?
oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you off the top.
Okay, all right,
Oh,
it's
I
all
don't even
good.
remember. But regardless, I got into Kiss, and then I told my parents, I said, I want a bass guitar, because I thought Gene Simmons was like, the coolest guy. So they traded my violin for a bass guitar. I learned bass guitar, and then I went from bass guitar to rhythm guitar, and then from rhythm guitar, I got in a little band and started doing some background vocals, and that's how I got into singing. So it just went from there. I never stopped.
Nice.
Yeah. In fact, we had a show we were going to do, and I was playing bass, and no, at that point I was playing rhythm guitar and doing background vocals, and our singer was so wasted. The rest of the band asked me, "Hey Ray, can you sing this song?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I can do it." So I did it, and I was like, "Well, I actually like this, man," because I was getting more crowd reaction as the front man versus being the guitar player,
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? I like that." So they asked me if I could sing and play it. So we fired a singer, and I was doing it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play guitar anymore. I just want to sing. So I became the vocalist for the band.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. So over your life, you've always been involved in music in one form or another.
That's correct.
Yeah. So what's the formation of your first band and going in, and then later or whatever into Sacred Warrior?
My first band was just with a bunch of guys that I met at a music store. We got this band. We were doing Boston hits. We were doing some Kansas stuff, and
But no, you wasn't
just a
playing
bunch.
accordion though, right?
No,
No,
man.
not at that time.
Then I was playing the harp. No,
Okay. Nice.
no, man. No, 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 no.
Diverse.
But we were just doing some gigs, and then from there, I don't know what happened, and we broke up the band, and then me and Tony Velasquez and Bruce Swift. Actually, it started me and Tony Velasquez. The very first time Tony ever played drums was at my uncle's restaurant. He had a drum set in there,
Hmm.
and Tony sat behind the drums, and he said, "Hey, can I play these?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, go ahead." I don't care. So I gave him a couple of knives, and he was playing them with some lives, and that was ultimately wow, George. I don't know what's going on with him, but that was ultimately what started me and Tony getting together. And then we got with Bruce, formed a little band, and we had another buddy of ours, Nick Fabia, and we were called Nomad.
Oh,
And we were good, man. We were playing a lot of parties. People were asking us to do shows, and we started getting some bigger shows, playing some clubs, and it just kept going from there. And then eventually, Bruce got saved, and through a series of events, and then he led Tony to the Lord, and then they eventually got me to accept the Lord. After I don't know a year or
Yeah.
so. But then we got together and we started going to the Warehouse Church with Pastor Randy, and we were taking a sabbatical from music. We're like, we're not going to play any music. Let's just really get close to the Lord. And like 9 months into it, our pastor says, "Hey, there's this band coming to town. They need an opener. You guys interested?" And we're like, "We don't even have a band, but sure." He said, "All you got to do is play 4 or 5 songs." So we got together, and we ended up opening up for White Cross.
oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. And Caesar Kalinowski was there for our sound check.
Yeah.
And during our sound check, he told our manager, who was my cousin, right? Our manager, he said, "I want to sign these guys." So
Oh wow.
after our sound check, he came in the back and said, "Hey, I want to sign you guys. 5 years, 5 records, da 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 da."
Wow.
And we're like, "Well, we don't even know who you are, dude." We knew who he was, and really inside we're like, "Oh, he gets to sign us, yeah." Everything
Yeah.
you dream about. So that was, I don't know what month it was, but like 4 or 5 months later, we ended up signing with them. And then we got the band together. Then we needed a bass player, and we needed a name, and we were just throwing on a bunch of names and ended up with Sacred Warrior. Actually, Tony's brother came up with Sacred Heart. Tony, our drummer, and then I'm like, Sacred Heart. That's kind of like, that's girlish. Let's not do that. So we came up with Sacred Warrior.
I mean, you got Still Heart. Is that kind of in between Sacred Heart and Sacred
Well,
Warrior?
you look at Steel Heart, though. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
But and then came George Ochoa. No, that was way later.
So,
Are you with us now,
And
George?
now, dear, here he comes again.
Are you with us, George?
yeah,
What was the problem, bro?
I was sharpening my swords.
There we go.
Oh, nice, nice. For once,
Oh.
no, he knows I'm just kidding. George is like a Bible scholar. You ask him anything, and he'll lie his way through it. I promise you. He's- no, that dude knows the Bible. He knows the Word. He knows it really well.
I love it.
He's a good,
Yeah.
good brother. of
I'm,
mine,
I'm a
man.
Bible nerd also for sure.
Are you really? That's
Bible,
good.
Bible
man.
nerds.
That's good, man.
Yeah, I love theology and all that good stuff for sure.
Yeah, I love that band. Yeah, Theocracy, a great band.
Theocracy.
Yeah, theology. That'd be my band, Theology.
There you go.
That is a wild name. But now, poor Jimmy. He probably hears it from me too much. I'm always like, I got a scripture for everything.
There you
No,
go.
it's good. Hey, man, it's always good discussion with you.
The reality is we can't walk around like this, right, with blinders.
Yeah.
There's not a demon under every rock, but there's reason for everything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
So
There is a demon hunter though, so
Right.
that's not. No.
Yes, yes, that was.
I wish I had. I wish we were on my podcast. I have all these sound effects. I'd be like,
oh nice.
you know.
I don't think we're that
Coming soon.
sophisticated yet.
Right,
That's
something's
all right.
coming real soon. So
That's all right.
we might as well ask George these two questions too.
Yeah, yeah.
So George, the first two questions that we asked, and I'll just give them both to you together. Did you grow up in a religious home, and did you grow up in a musical home?
Uh, no, religious, yes, from the standpoint of religiosity, being brought up Catholic.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Both of you.
which, who knows, I guess that was just something you're born into at the time. And so, and this isn't a slam on Catholics because I have a good Catholic story from my grandmother, but I'll tell, I guess I could tell in a second. But uh, most Catholics are Catholics by just inheritance or by religiosity, or they're quote unquote born into it, and that's just what you are because your parents were that, without really knowing, what it's all about. I still remember a Bible salesman came to our house a long time ago, and he had these really fancy Bibles, and I think my dad bought one, and we had one in our house, and I think somehow we felt like that covered us, that like was what kept the evil spirits out,
Yeah.
because I never cracked it open. I never saw my dad crack it open. I never saw my mom crack it open. It was just there on the table to, like, as I guess it's like, again, it's more religiosity than reality or relationship. So yeah, I was born into that. Did my first communion, confirmation, all that stuff, Catholic school,
Wow.
but it didn't mean anything to me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
As I'm going to venture to say to most Catholics, it doesn't mean anything to them. It's just
Hmm.
something that they're born into, and I mean, I've even heard the term "I'm born Catholic, I'll die Catholic." That couldn't be the most prideful statement any man could say. You know what I mean? So yes. To answer your first question, yes, musical. It's funny. Music in my family jumped a generation. All my uncles and my dad do not play anything, but my grandfather was a phenomenal musician.
Mm.
My dad's dad. He played guitar. He played piano. He played violin. He sang.
Wow.
As a kid, I still remember he would pull out his guitar and sing for the whole family at Christmas or whatever. And so he was very, very talented. He played in big bands in Orange County, California, and so it skipped a generation because none of his sons or his one daughter played music. None of the grandkids, my generation, played music pretty much except me.
Hmm.
So so there you go. It kind of, like, skipped a generation. And back to the Catholic thing, my grandmother was a pretty devout Catholic, but I do believe she knew the Lord because
Right.
I still remember she used to come over and visit us, and these were the days when I was trying to, like, be a big rock star and play the Sunset Strip, and where Rad and Motley Crue and Poison, all those guys
Right. Right.
played, and at the same time, and I just wanted to be a rock star and get girls. And I remember her telling me, one day you're going to be playing music for the Lord, and I
I
went,
love that.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like. I respected her, but I pretty much almost mocked her, like saying that'll never happen, because my picture of playing music for the Lord was what the word you used earlier, a total nerd on a
Hmm.
stool with stupid short hair, stupid haircut, and
Yeah.
goofy clothes and an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar. But little did I know, right, that the Lord had other plans,
Oh yeah.
But
and
look at
shattered those
God. Look
He
at
and
always
God.
and
does,
and,
yo.
Right.
and shattered those images for me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
God,
So
God is
anyway,
not
so
random. So,
That's
well,
right.
Ray told us a little bit about his kind of start into music. What give us just a real brief overview of yours? From getting in your first band and Deliverance and kind of your journey, and then we'll get into Worldview.
Yeah.
um, well, uh, I played a lot of bands again that we would again try to be the rock star thing on the Sunset Strip,
Oh,
and
okay.
there was a band named Anthem I was in.
Okay.
What else? Uh, it's so long I don't remember the names.
No worries.
But But my first Christian band was with a guy named Roger Martinez that hit me up like
Yeah.
about a month after I became a Christian. He said, "Hey, let's start a band," and and we started a band called Prophet.
Okay.
You know, and Prophet, not FIT.
Right.
But uh, so yeah, and that ended up we played back in the day with Barren Cross, and a lot of times, believe it or not, Barren Cross opened for us a couple times. Uh,
Are you familiar with
yeah,
there's another band named Prophet. Uh,
yeah, what that wasn't us, but yeah, we
yeah.
were.
I
Yeah,
actually I have
I
that on
think we're.
vinyl. When you said that, I was like, "What? I didn't."
I didn't
You
know
must have
Cheers
Yeah,
was
a
part of
moon on
that.
the cover and all.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that wasn't us, but I think we probably came out before them.
I
But
got you.
we
Yeah.
never recorded. We never recorded an album. We
Okay.
did a demo. I have a demo of it somewhere. I should probably dig it up.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But Roger Martinez actually didn't sing on it because back then he wasn't black.
Yeah, I
I
was about
mean,
to ask that question too.
Yeah, there you
no,
go.
he actually played guitar on it. We're because he's actually a guitar player.
Nice.
Not a very good one, but he's a guitar player. But
He's gonna he's
uh,
gonna he's gonna listen to this, George. You better watch out what you
That's
say,
right.
man.
that's all right. That's all right. But anyway, so yeah, so and then shortly after that, the first band that after Prophet is we formed a Recon after that.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Recon. Yeah, I remember Recon.
and then Recon was starting to kind of fall apart a little bit
Hmm.
because just people weren't you know living up to whatever. And I'm not here judging anybody because I'm the last guy to judge anybody. But at that time there was some pretty blatant things going on. So we started to. I think we had one final show we did, and that was a show that Jimmy Brown came in and
Mm,
saw. And afterwards, they had just finished mixing their record like a week before their first record, and they had parted ways with Glenn Rogers. And
Hmm.
he asked me to go to his car and listen to the record, and it sounded awesome. And as you guys know, the first Deliverance record,
Yeah.
mhm.
and they goes, "Hey, you're interested in joining us?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I mean, it was a little bit heavier music than I'm used to,
Right. Right.
but because Recon was more, Reiki,
Hmm.
Iron Maiden, whatever. And but Jim and I did still had that. We still have that common love for the early Queensryche
Sure.
because he loves Queensryche as well,
Yeah.
and you can hear a little bit of that in the Weapons album. But so pretty much left Recon to join Deliverance at that point. So
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. So this is so what was the formation, Ray, of Worldview? Like how y'all probably haven't maybe seen each other in a while and all this kind of and this idea comes up for a new band. How did all that take place?
Well, it's kind of ironic the way that came along. Out of a tragedy, believe it or not, it was
Mm.
Rick Macias, who was our keyboard player in Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
He had gone to L.A. to take a little trip, a little vacation away for something that he had some family matters. Son was murdered,
Mm.
and it was just some stuff. He just needed to get away, and he went out to L.A. and he stayed with George and with Drew Fisher. I don't know if you know him, but when he was with George, he approached George and he said, "Hey, man, me and you and Ray, we should do a record together."
Mm.
Nice.
And George is like, yeah, we'll do it. So Rick called me, and I'm like, yeah, we could do that. And in the middle of that, Rick had just left Sacred Warrior, and we were busy writing another record at the time. And we said, yeah, let's do it when we get a chance. Well, we never had that chance. Rick came to visit me sometime later, and that's when he passed away while
Mm.
he was visiting me in Florida.
Wow.
And me and George just had this conversation 2 days ago. I remember that I was at the Dunkin' Donuts drive-up getting some coffee, and George calls me, or Starbucks, one or the other. And he calls me. He's like, "Hey, Ray, it's George." I'm like, "What's up, George?" He goes, "Hey, man, why don't in respect for Rick and honors for Rick, kind of, why don't we go ahead and write this record that Rick wanted to do? Let's just go ahead and do it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Man, bro, let's do it." And George had the players already from Recon, and I
Sure.
flew out to Nashville and we discussed it, and then
L.A. actually flew to L.A.
or
Oh,
L.A. That's right, you were in L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah, flew out to L.A. and we did it, man. took a little while, but the good thing is George had already had enough songs in his library that we could just choose from to
Nice.
complete, and make the record. Songs that we felt would be ones that really fit the mood, if you will, and that coupled with some Salvation songs, and
Yeah.
we got together and recorded the record and put it out, and it's a really, really, really great album. Unfortunately, we didn't get the push that we wanted to, because even to this day, people who will buy that record now and listen to it and go, "Wow, how come I never heard of this record before?" We didn't have a label pushing us or nothing really.
Sure.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that, George?
Yeah, I'm still surprised to this day that most people, they always, oh, I love your stuff and Recon and Deliverance, and I'm sure Ray hears Sacred Warrior quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I say, hey, did you ever hear my other project, Worldview? No, what's that? Even people in the Christian realm
Right.
have not heard of Worldview, believe it or not. And so, because we were originally signed to Alterium Records,
Okay.
Mm.
and they're out of Sweden, and he really wanted to put out the record, but without getting into too much dirty laundry, he decided to kind of pull back on the record. I mean, we even pressed it with him and everything like that, and but he didn't like some of the directions that we took, because
Okay.
I think he wanted us to be just a straight out, almost just 80s 90s type band,
Yeah.
and I wanted to take Worldview. We all want to take Worldview a little more modern,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
and there, yeah, so there's some stuff in there that does have some of the older elements of Maiden, Queensryche, whatever
Right,
influences,
right, right.
but there's also some grunting. There's a little rap part in one of the songs. It's Linkin Parkish, whatever.
George's
So
rap debut.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Nice.
at your encouragement, by the way, Ray, I
Yeah.
It
still remember
was,
you
man.
you talked me into it.
Hey, I totally did. George, I'm like, George, you should do a little rap part there. He's like, no, man, that's cheesy. I'm like, bro, do it, man, do it. And then,
No, no, no. Here's how it went. I remember I got on the mic and I was faking it like I was doing a rap part,
yeah,
and Ray's like, "No, no, no, dude, that's great. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do that." And I did it as kind of like a joke, and then he said, "No, no, no, really do it." And then
yeah,
so I think it's a song called Two Wonders. You'll hear a little bit of rap on there,
Yeah, that's
and that
cool.
was just it was meant to just be a joke at first, and then Ray said, "No, no, no, do it, do it." So all right, and then we
Nice.
laid it down.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So,
that.
but anyways, trying to take it a little more modern.
Mhm.
So we parted ways with Alterium, and I think that's what kind of killed the record in a sense for promotion wise, because
Yeah.
he was
Mhm.
gonna promote it, then he decided not to because it wasn't what he said was it didn't fit the styles that were on his record.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we were kind of on our own to push it, and none of us, really were. I don't want to say qualified, but we weren't ready to just like push a new album. So we released it, did as much as we could on Facebook and whatever, and so hopefully with this new release, I still have about. Girder just bought a bunch of them for me, and then he's doing a bunch of re-releases of it,
Mhm.
and I have I don't know, I think I have a few hundred still here, and what we're planning to do is probably with the first like 500 orders on this new record, we're probably gonna like throw in the first record, so that way people get familiar that we're not a new band, that we've actually had a
Right,
record
right,
before.
right.
So a twofer. So these guys that are listening, you guys that are listening, be on the lookout for some kind of twofer deal, because it's not gonna. It's, when they're gone, they're gone. The first record, and if they move, we'll print more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
You
for
know.
sure. Yeah, I
Nice.
gotta. I was gonna talk about just the rap, the rapping for a second, or just anything. I think, and even the modern direction. I think that Steve Rowe once said, "Variety is the spice of death." But variety is definitely the spice of just even metal. Like, who wants a genre, of music, especially with the history that you two guys have? Like, putting out the same record over and over again would be counterproductive, I think.
Agree.
And
Agree.
sometimes rap can be very intense too, just like other forms of music. So yeah, I think that, and even more some of the more modern stuff overall. It's you can definitely be effective if you just do it right. That's
Yeah.
that's always be
It's
authentic,
funny.
do it right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's funny because you're always your worst critic, right?
Hmm.
And a couple of days ago, when I was still in Nashville, uh, I love working with George. We bust each other's cookies all the time. talking about getting into something different, this record's going to have a little bit more of it's metal and it's rock and it's like soft rock on some parts, if you will.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand, hard to explain it, but I think that people that listen to this record, they're going to go, "Wow, I didn't expect that," but they're going to go, "Wow, but that's great." Some of the songs in there are a little more mellower, but they're still rock and roll and they're still full, but it's things that people aren't going to really be expecting.
Right.
And when George wrote all these songs, and him and I got together and just started collaborating a little bit on ideas and melodies and this and that. It's just like I always bust on him, say, "Oh, what do we got? Another ballad? How many ballads is that, George?" Remember that, George? This was a conversation we had 2 days ago before I left. I'm like, another ballad, but they're not really ballads, but they're. You'll just have to buy the record. It's great. You guys will
Yeah,
love it.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, yeah,
But that reminds me. I mean, just writing music myself. Like I'm working on a metal album, and I just think about. I totally had intentions of an arrangement that I did on one of the songs, and I'm like, all right, I'm going in the studio, like I'm hammering out this arrangement. And it's gonna be so heavy. It's gonna start kind of low and percussive, and then build into this big thing. And when I started playing the instruments, it came out as a country song.
Nah,
I'm like, what the heck? Because
What?
it's so different than everything else that I have recorded. Like for that particular band, I have like one song that's like straight up New Orleans swing, and then everything else is more like thrash metal. But
right.
this song came out like country, and I'm like, what the heck? It
Jay,
was,
but here's the question: is it good?
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
it good?
it is. It's actually
There
really,
you go.
it's
That
really
that's
cool.
what matters.
I was like,
This is
wow.
what George says to me 20 times every time I'm out there recording with him. A ballad, is it good? Is it good?
Hmm.
Because yeah, you got to dare to be different, I guess you could say.
True, true, true. And sometimes, like doing stuff like that can be a challenge. And for me, of course, my producer hat is always on, so I'm always thinking, okay, what's gonna make this good? What's the best way to approach this? What instrumentation, just whatever else. And I even
Yeah.
think that when listening to other people's music, whether it be y'all's or whoever else, like, you know, why is this here? Why is this instrument here? Why is this vocal here? Or whatever. But sometimes you can really come up with some cool stuff as long as you're willing to stay creative.
Yeah, and,
So
and I must say that I really rely more, like even with Warrior, I rely on the guys for more of that than myself. I'm in a mode right now where I'm
mhm.
really struggling with writing, and I'm,
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to say it. It is
I
what
can
it is.
relate.
But when, like with George, what makes it easy for us is I go there and he's pretty much got everything laid out, and he's like,
Mm.
okay, here's the basic melodies, and let's work out. When I have something to work with when we're doing it, it makes it easier on me now than back in the day when I was writing a lot of the stuff. So, but I'm really enjoying it. It's going
Yeah,
great.
for sure. I was just about to say, like, um, as far as music and writing or whatever, um, where do you get inspiration from when you write? And this goes for both of you all. Like, what inspires you the most? Like when you pick up a guitar and write, or just
well, I'd like to say that it's the spirit, man, and or or, man, it's just this thing comes over me, and I'm overwhelmed, and it's got to come out of my fingers, and you know, but it's none of it's. Look at Ray. It's none of that. You know what it is for me? I'm going to do a quote back from what Richie Blackmore said a long time
Mhm.
ago. You guys know Richie Blackmore, obviously Deep
Yeah,
Purple Rainbow.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Uh, he said, "Just steal from everybody and make your own style out of it."
Mm.
So so here goes. I have my influences,
Yeah.
and I have the guts. I won't say the other thing. I have the guts to admit that I have influences that come out in my music, but I try to like tailor them to like, okay, let's make it a little different, and let's make it a little bit to something about you, George. But I have no qualm saying that. I grew up listening to the Reich, to Maiden, to Priest, to I mean Deep Purple. I mean,
Yeah.
let's go back Zeppelin, all those bands, and it always comes out in my music somewhere, my writing.
Hmm.
But for me to just say that I come up with things autonomously that came out of nowhere, any writer that tells you that, it's kind of full of it because everybody's got an influence.
Oh yeah.
If they don't want to cop to it, that's on them.
Right,
I'll
right.
cop to my influences. And again, Richie Blackmore said, just steal from everybody, and make it your own.
There you
So
go.
And here's mine in a nutshell. You ready?
Yeah.
I never stole something I didn't like.
there you go.
That's
I like
right.
that too.
That's
That's
right.
interesting. That is so funny because I think about, this is the last thing I'll say about my own particular songwriting process. I listened to so much stuff growing up, and then when I got in college, and it was all Christian. Like I grew up in one of those homes where like we only could listen to Christian music. So
Yeah, good
first,
parents then.
yeah. So I started off with like Sweet Comfort Band, Brian Duncan, that kind
Oh
of stuff.
yeah.
That was what was on the radio. They played Petra on Christian contemporary radio some. But then I discovered like Striper and Deliverance and stuff, and I never like turned back. But at the same time, I discovered Striper and Deliverance. Like I was in college. I also discovered Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
And I also discovered groups like SFC, like Christian rap groups, and even
Oh
maybe
yeah.
secular rap groups or whatever. So I discovered so much at the same time, and I'm playing music. Metalhead probably more than anything, but still, all those other influences too. So yeah, it's a big melting pot, like that I
Yeah.
have to choose from to borrow.
You want to hear a funny? You want to hear a funny Stevie Wonder story?
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah, I was at the NAM show one year. You guys know the NAM show in
Yeah,
LA,
absolutely.
right? Yeah, and we're all around. A lot of these booths do little seminars or whatever, and then everybody gathers around and hears the guy talking.
Hmm.
So I went over there. I went over. I forgot. I forgot. I think it was a Slate. It was a Slate, in fact, booth.
Hmm.
Um, and Slate was sitting there, and he's talking about the new console he's got, this and that. And I'm watching, and this guy next to my left is bumping into me. I'm kind of like in the side of my eye, kind of looking, going, "This guy's annoying the crap out of me. He keeps bumping into me, man." And I'm like looking, and I bumped into me again. Then I finally look into Stevie Wonder.
Oh no.
Nice.
I go, "Oh hey, what's up, Steve?" He goes, "What's up, man? How you doing?" I go, "Oh great, man." And we just kept listening. But it was like, here I am annoyed by this person next to me bumping me, and I go, "Oh my gosh, it's Stevie Wonder." I'm
That's
That's
honored to be
great.
bumped by Stevie
Great.
Wonder.
that's
That is
pretty
That's
cool.
that
great.
is amazing, dude. So do you go to NAM often, or
Oh yeah, I used to go every year, and I've invited Ray so many times, but he's always dogged me and never shown
come
up.
Oh,
on,
All
Ray?
right.
Let's
But
go.
Hey, let's go there. Let's go there,
Yeah,
George.
I'm trying to go to
Is you
NAM
op- you op-
2026. I'll be there.
No, Jay. What I mean by let's go there is this. Listen to this. You ready?
Oh God, make
George
it good.
says George says he invites me every year. All right, so truth be known, he does. But you know when he invites me? When he's already there and he's showing me, hey, look where I'm at, Ray. Oh, you, I was supposed to invite you. I forgot. Year after year after year. He's inviting me once he's there already. So last year he says, bro, I promise you next year I won't go without you. And then he didn't go.
Ah, he kept his
Ray,
promise.
Dino and I really want to go next year, so we'll be going next year,
Yeah, well,
Lord
I'll be
willing.
there next year for sure.
I
Come on, Ray.
speaking of Sweet Comfort and Brian Duncan, love those guys too, man. I actually had Brian Duncan on my podcast.
Oh,
That
nice.
dude, he's still got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's still got it, man. He's just a great dude and
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
funny and quirky. Just love that guy, man.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. He wrote a couple books that I really love. Also, his books are hilarious.
Yeah, yeah,
Great stuff.
yeah. I listen to a lot of him and Phil Keaggy. I was listening to Russ Taff and all them bands.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah. I know
yeah.
Phil and Russ.
I
Man.
I'm not in much into CCM, but I mean I do. Russ Taff does have some good stuff,
Yeah.
and I love Keggy. I mean,
Oh,
anytime I find a Keggy album, I buy it.
Yeah,
It don't
I've
matter
done.
what it's on. It
Yeah,
could
I've
be on
actually
8
done
track. It
gigs.
wouldn't matter.
I got you one. I'll sell you $5,000.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I'm a side man basically, and I've done gigs playing for Keggy and for Russ Taff.
Oh no, I
Nice.
didn't know about Russ. You play with him
Yeah,
too?
Russ Taff, man. I
Dang.
think, yeah, man, that's great stuff. Great
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Well, he's got a great documentary. If you hadn't seen it, it's
no, I have not.
man, yeah, it's on like I think it's on Tubi streaming on
Okay.
the free app, and man, it's great. It talks about his whole struggles, and
Yeah.
he's
Mm.
just real about it. You know, it's
Yeah,
cool.
I definitely told Russ, of course I'm always just talking about Christian metal, and I definitely told Russ on one of the concerts, I'm like, yo, we got to get you on a metal album somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah,
Russ Taff, the next
he's got
Worldview
the right
album.
voice for it, man,
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, we need to make that happen, y'all.
He's got the range, right?
Yeah,
So
man.
what? Speaking of that, when you recorded this first album, what was that like when y'all were bringing in Jimmy Brown and working with him and Oz Fox, and you also had Les Carson. So what was it like working with them studio wise?
So, Oz Fox, he did all his stuff remote and
Oh,
sent
okay.
it to
Yeah.
us. Yeah, because he wasn't able to come because obvious reasons,
Yep,
because
yep.
trucker and
Hmm.
touring and stuff. Les actually came to George's home, and I was not there
Oh man.
because he's, at that point he was in L.A. and I'm in Florida,
Yeah.
and it was the same with Jimmy. But I definitely had spent a lot of time with Les.
Hmm.
Les and I are kind of like prayer buddies. We call each
Cool.
other and pray for people and each other all the time. And
That's cool.
yeah, we've developed a good friendship.
I,
But he actually went out to George's to record, and so did Jimmy. Or did Jimmy send you his stuff, George?
No, I think I went to his house
so
to
you got your
record.
own.
Oh, okay.
You have your own in-home studio,
Who,
George.
Me?
George?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
big time.
Okay.
George,
I assumed you
we,
did.
we, we have a studio, George.
Yeah.
I have a desk and a computer.
Yeah. I'm sure.
He's got a reel-to-reel player, and
Nice. Hey, I got one of
Yeah.
those.
his computer still uses floppies, But yeah, we're getting good stuff out of there, right?
We're going to download the new Worldview on LimeWire. What you
There we
doing?
go.
There you
So, well,
go.
that's cool. Yeah, I got to meet.
But well, I'll throw in my answering that question
Yeah.
too. Les was great to work with. I mean, it was really fast. I mean, he's a professional, and I remember trying to give him money to like come in, and he wouldn't take it. It's a no, 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 no. I mean, I go, hey, let me at least take it. I think we went to lunch. We did go to lunch actually, and let me take you to lunch. I mean, the guy's just such a sweetheart. He wouldn't take my money, um, and Jimmy, of course, took my money, and but Jimmy and I have been friends for years and
Yeah.
years, and,
Yeah.
and I've helped him out. He's helped me out on stuff. Like I played on his Jupiter 6 solo stuff, and
Oh, cool.
and we're about to start writing a new Deliverance record together.
No way.
Because
That's awesome.
and my priority right now, as we speak, by the way, is just finishing up this Worldview record.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ray just left yesterday from here, literally, and then now I have tonight Terry coming in to finish up the drums.
Uh huh.
Todd, the bass player, sending me final tracks, and then Dino Elefante and I are gonna as soon as we're gonna record some more vocals from an addition that we just added. That's we really haven't made an official announcement, but a girl named Crystal Mancaruso that's going to be singing quite a bit on the record. I mean,
Okay.
Ray's our singer, but she's going to be doing some duets with him and some BGVs and finishing her up, and then we're going to mix and we'll have it done by for sure by the end. I mean, our goal. And we're gonna meet our. I'm gonna make sure we meet our goal
Yeah.
of by the end of March. We'll have it ready to go.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, y'all got a
Yeah.
lot production, a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff for the fans to look forward to.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's exciting.
Yeah, some of these songs have been in the works for years, and finally they're finally coming to the end and getting where they're getting
Yeah.
done and recorded, and it's really cool. I mean, Ray said something about earlier about ballads and this and that, and there's some heavy stuff on this record, by the way. I
Yeah.
mean,
Very,
don't
yeah.
let it fool you. There's some heavy stuff, but there's also I mean, I don't know. Have you guys heard the release? I think Girder's put it out on a compilation record.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to come out this week, by the way.
Okay.
Worldview Invincible on Spotify. And
Nice.
that will
Okay.
be the first song we're releasing. So I wish I had an exact date for you, but I think it's going to be, well, this week's already over. It's going to be next week for sure. So keep an eye out on Spotify and on iTunes.
Yeah.
It's our first single Invincible. By the way, while Ray was out here, we didn't just record music. We recorded a music video too. So
Oh,
we're
that's
gonna have a
awesome.
music video to the song
Yeah, we'll,
um, "Invincible."
cool. We'll
Awesome.
definitely post that in the group, and we'll maybe put it on the YouTube page too. Like
Yeah,
when
we'll share that for you for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or maybe I'll even send it to you guys after I'm done here.
Yeah,
I'll
sure,
Oh,
send it to you
oh
guys.
yeah, I would
absolutely.
love to check that out. Well, Ray, what so on the new album specifically? Like, give the fans a taste of something as lyric wise that really speaks to you. Like, what song is like, man, I'm just looking forward to playing this live.
Wow. That's a tough one, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
Because they're all great
sure.
songs.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all great songs. If I had to pick one called "Beware the Wolves,"
Okay.
which really talks about looking out for the wolves, the enemy.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, the wolves in sheep's clothing, and the way that Dino brought it out of me as far as performance wise, coupled with the lyrics, it's such a powerful tune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really talks about just not falling prey to the wolves. You know, and to basically be on your guard. You know, because they're going to come one way or another, but you got to use discernment. But lyrically, the way it is just really, it's really cool and really aggressive, and I think y'all like it a lot.
There's one
That
line I
and then
really like in it that says "Beware the wolves," and I think we're gonna try and end it. Ray, you haven't commented. We'll talk about it, but I sent it to. I wanted to end it with um, the lyric that actually ends with is "Beware the wolves; they're coming for you."
Hmm.
And I'm telling you right now, I don't want to get political, but
Right.
but but right now, what's going on with with the whole Doge thing and everything like that, um, and if the other if Kamala would have gotten into office, us as Christians, I mean, we would have had some real challenges because it would have just uh, catapulted this whole LGBTQ movement and the DEI a movement. It would have amplified it. And now it's like kind of I think God almost gave us a reprieve with not having that person or that agenda get run our country. So what I'm getting at is um, it's very interesting to me that Democrats or whatever. Again, I'm not here to bag on anybody but they really freaked out. They're freaking out over. Oh, this is a very important topic, by the way, of why they're going. The whole Doge thing when they went to the Department of Education. See, right now they're trying to indoctrinate the young kids and everything like that, and they've done a good job with everything that they've done, and and putting a stop to that. I think that's almost God's intervention there because they're freaking out over that because they want to the plan of the enemy, I think, is to pervert this young generation, and it's almost like when we started writing these lyrics, I started thinking, wow, how specific is it? Like the wolves being those people that are going after the kids
Hmm.
and that are trying to mold their minds into um, thinking that maybe God made a mistake and they weren't supposed to be a boy, but they were a girl, vice versa, and all these perverse things. My old pastor, which I still consider my pastor, John MacArthur, this whole
Oh wow.
LGBTQ and this whole trans movement he says it's first and foremost an assault on God, and it's true. It's totally true. It's an assault on God, and and his principles and his biblical mandates, and for kids to be told these things that are completely outside of biblical theology is a work of the enemy, and it's a perfect lyric saying, "Beware the wolves." Um, they're coming for you because that's what they're doing. They're really coming after, especially the kids. They're
Mhm.
coming after them
Right.
and trying to indoctrinate them in ungodly, um, precepts, shall we say?
And in the
Yeah.
sense of the word "beware," it's because really meaning blinding. You know,
Hmm.
beware. Hey, hello, wake up! Beware the wolves, because they're coming at you, and you're not really
Yeah.
seeing it. A lot of people aren't seeing it.
Yeah, a lot. I mean,
So,
yeah, the Bible even says, certain people are blind to the truth and stuff, and
hmm
for
Oh yeah.
sure.
yep.
Man, that's
Ephesians, yeah,
awesome.
says
That's deep.
that they know not what they stumble over. Yeah, I think
Mm.
Proverbs too. There's another song on the record that I really like. That's Ray's take on it, "The Beware the Wolves," which is great. I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in. With a song called "Mystery Babylon,"
Oh,
which I wrote with actually Mike Drive, AKA Mike Lee, Barron
oh,
Cross,
wow.
Very
and
nice.
Yeah.
and that's a really cool song
It
too.
really
That's
is.
also a beware of 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 that philosophy type song
Mhm.
too, and that's a heavy song too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
So
course, the heavier
Those
songs, those kind of subjects are definitely great for heavy songs for sure.
Yeah, bro, and those are probably my two favorite songs on the record.
Interesting.
But
I'll have to check those out.
then again, we have one of my other total favorites, is a song called "Blindsided."
Mm.
Which is about a relationship and a guy who got blindsided in his relationship. But kind of a lot of what we're doing here, in my opinion, is it's talking clearly about a relationship, but it also can mean you can get blindsided by not fulfilling your commitment to the Lord, and all of a
Mm.
sudden you're like, "Whoa, what happened? Why am I? All of a sudden, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that?" But lyrically, that song is talking about a relationship, but
Yeah,
you can look deeper into it and find other things in there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, have you this is I was about to say this is a really controversial subject to an extent. Are you familiar with the author Dave Hunt at all?
Dave, yeah, oh yeah,
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
you're familiar with his book, A Woman Rides the Beast?
I'm not familiar with that book, but I know Dave. Are you talking about the? He's the author, but there's
He has a
yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
books.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, he has a bunch of books. I was thinking about, like, I know you were talking about just like some of the social issues and political issues. And I know both of you all have a Catholic background. I don't want to get too deep into like Catholics versus Protestants or whatever, but I do, I do wonder how it is to navigate through, um, this particular climate, being ex Catholics or whatever. And I think even now there's like in Christian metal, um, us as administrators of the group or whatever, there's a lot of Protestants that are totally against the Catholics, and a lot of Catholics that definitely have their particular agenda. But
Mhm.
this extends even to government, and of course, the biggest denomination to this day is Catholicism that claims to be Christian. So yeah, um, how do you all navigate through that? I guess as a Christian band or whatever.
Well, for me, let me start out by saying this. Grew up in a Catholic church, in a Catholic home with my parents, like I was telling you, but
Mm-hmm.
I really, in 1985, became a born again Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave my life to Jesus. I gave it all to Him, and I sought after Him, and I read the Bible, and really raised from, I think I was 22 or 23 years old till today as a Christian. The Catholic thing is, you didn't know, you said a cuss word, or you did this or that. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
go give me 13 Our Fathers and 12 Hail Marys. That's what's that going to do? But you did it because that's what you were taught
Sure.
in a Catholic school. But I even went to Catholic school all the way up to 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I came to the realization for me, I'm not speaking for anybody else other than,
Right. Right.
the Bible says that no one comes to the God but to the Father, but through the Son
I mean,
Jesus.
yeah.
That doesn't mean through Mary and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and
Peter
Saint
Paul
Joseph
Bearer,
and Saint
yes.
Jude. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of weird things. So I wasn't a practicing Catholic when I was young, other
Mm-hmm.
than I had to do my little, I don't even remember what you call it, but
First communion and
yeah,
catechism.
catechism and First Communion, yeah. But so for me, if I'm being honest, my memory of Catholicism was when I was in a Catholic school. I was always in trouble. So back in the day, you were allowed you were allowed to get paddled in the back of the knuckles, and if it kept happening, you were allowed to get whacked in the butt.
Mm.
Well, this nun, it was always me, and it was always the same nun, and her name was Tony, and she was really psycho, man. Because when I would get in trouble, I'd come in, and she'd have this big paddle, and I'd be laying over her lap, and she would sing to me as she would hit me.
Uh-uh.
She'd be like, and it was an old, I think it's an old Yes song. I think, I don't remember, but she'd say, "Where are you going out, my love?
You
Where
still
will
remember it?
you be tomorrow?" Psh, ah!
That's Crosby, Stills and Nash.
I
I
say,
Crosby,
yeah.
Stills and Nash.
I
Will you
think Ray has
bring me?
PTSD now.
Bro, I do,
song,
man.
that
Love
song
Anytime
comes on and you start swerving.
I'm telling you, man. And it's like every time she's like, "Hi, Ray." I'm like,
it.
See, Ray didn't learn the first time. He kept going back and going back
yeah,
in.
I think after a while I kind of liked it. I don't know.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh!
Oh man, but yeah, so that was short lived for me. For me,
They, they do
my
the ruler on the back of the knuckles too. You said
just
no.
just for a little bit, but I
Yeah.
was like my son Dylan when he was a kid did that to me. They hit me in the knuckles with the ruler, and I'd be like,
No, right.
and they'd hit me again. I'd be like,
Yeah.
that didn't hurt, you know.
Yeah.
So like, okay. And ironically enough, my son Dylan, when he was a little kid, first time I ever spanked, he got in trouble for something, and I took a little, I don't remember, paddle or something, whacked him on the butt, and he's like, "That didn't hurt." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, really?"
So you gotta taste your own medicine. I do it with
Yeah.
my
Oh
kids too.
boy. Yeah, man. Yeah, I sure
So,
did.
that's awesome.
I
Well, on
sure
the
did.
You know, on the Catholic thing,
yeah.
you got to remember that what's essential with the Catholic system is that what's called central theology, and
Okay.
they do have some things right.
Right.
They believe in the
Mhm.
deity of Christ. They believe in the virgin birth. Thank God. There's things that they have right, but they're just so ecumenical in so many things, and where it's turned into vain traditions as opposed to stuff that Christ even preached about when he was here on earth. Um, and it's just yeah, as Ray would say, with him, I'm sure his view is the same as mine. That you don't really get encouraged to read your Bible. You don't get encouraged to have that one-on-one relationship with
Right.
Christ. You get encouraged to basically bow to the church and to the Pope and to the priest
Mm-hmm.
and and the Bible's got to be interpreted for you because you on your own as a layman can't interpret it. Obviously, um, we know that's different. When the veil is torn in two, that means everyone can come into the Holy of Holies and now commune with God. And
Yes.
we don't need a priest. We don't need anything. We just talk to God directly and read His Word directly. So, it was a truly hallelujah moment like when Ray said he became born again, and the Bible says that you have to be born from above. So. Um, I don't think that happens in a system where you just are not encouraged to do anything
Mhm.
that enhances your relationship with Christ one on one. I
Mhm.
was never told to do that.
That's
Right.
right.
And when somebody finally started preaching the gospel to me, that's when I was like, wow, do you really know Jesus? Do you know his word? Do you have a hunger and thirst for righteousness? And I think that's where the Catholic Church and
Yeah.
the way they deal with their parishioners they miserably fail. And again, I'm not here to bag on Catholics
Right.
because
Right.
I
Right.
do
Right.
believe that there's some people that sincerely have faith there, but just the system is not geared towards having people grow in Christ. They want people to grow to be good Catholics more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. I didn't grow up in that religion or culture, so I mean, I've obviously heard people talking about it and everything, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Um.
definitely grew up studying everything. So,
Yep. Yeah.
including Catholicism and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
So when you somebody asks you, so what kind of a religious person are you? You just look at them and you say, "I believe." Period.
That's
right.
I
right.
believe.
Faith of a child.
There we
That's
go.
right.
There we go. So dang,
That's
I,
right.
I almost have this question is semi related, but also not related. But a lot of bands, and I guess yeah, a lot of bands when it comes to their lyrical content and even their purpose tend to um, either target people that are already Christians or people that aren't Christians at all for you know like so it's either like edification or evangelism, and a lot of times the two don't marry, and whatever. Like you do find a lot of bands that only do like Christian tours and only play churches or whatever else, and then some actually do play clubs and all that kind of stuff. So,
Mhm.
are you all more about like edification or evangelism?
So I'll speak for me. This would include Sacred Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
For us, really, I don't think that every Christian band, Sacred Warrior, for example, we're known for a band that preaches the gospel, man.
Mm-hmm.
We're ministry, ministry, ministry. However, we do secular shows.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily play bars and clubs, but secular festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I feel like Christians. George and I just had this conversation a couple of days ago. Ironically enough, remember that, George?
Hmm.
I feel like Christians in the whole look at Christian bands and say, "Oh, those guys should be ministering more, or they should be, reaching to the lost and this and that and the other." And yes, we should and we do, but also look at it this way: we also need entertainment. You know what I'm saying? As a
Right.
Christian,
Right.
I want entertainment. Be it through a Christian band or a secular band.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never put a label on a Christian band to say you have to be an evangelistic type of band
Mm-hmm.
only, because then you put yourself in a box.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You need to be able to minister to the lost and realistically be that joyful noise to the Christians.
And still be relatable, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because if you're just going up, every song is turn or burn, give your heart to Jesus, or you're gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
Turn or burn. You've heard it. How many times can you say that
Right.
over and over and over and over and over? Which is why I believe we're being successful at what we do. As far as worldview, same thing, man. I think that there's messages in the songs that don't necessarily always, I'm going to say always, but quite often do stand out, but don't necessarily always stay out and say, hey, this is what you need, because it does fit into the entertainment realm as well as the ministry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? What do
Absolutely.
you think, George? You agree?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Worldview hasn't done a whole lot of shows, to be honest with you. I mean, Sacred Warrior's done tons of shows in their history. I've done tons of shows with Deliverance and Recon, whatever other bands I was in. But it's funny. Worldview has done kind of a handful of shows, and lately we've been doing Immortal Fest, and Immortal Fest is kind of it's kind of a big family gathering, a bunch of brothers and sisters getting together, and
Yeah.
it seems to be that type of realm. It doesn't seem to be the type of realm where you're evangelizing now. I don't know how many people bring their lost friends to Immortal Fest. It's probably a good idea if they do, because they're going to hear some really good music and probably hear some really good messages and some testimonies and who knows, somebody could come to Christ. And there's nothing wrong with just ministering, as Ray and I were talking this week, to the saints and to have everybody get edified as a Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'd like to think that well, let me give you a quick for instance. And I have another band, Human Code, that I'm doing with Michael Drive. I don't know if you guys heard it,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
we just did a show with and I think Ray's done the same thing at BMI Center with other secular acts. Oh yeah, you guys played with Queensryche. We played with Tom Kiefer. We opened up for him, and that was the Cinderella guy.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting show for us because here we are. We played in front of an audience, and it was there was a good amount of people there. It was like 1,500 people, and we played this show in front of basically a few of our fans showed up, but mainly it was all Tom's crowd,
Yeah.
Cinderella fans. And then we went to the booth afterwards and started talking to people, and they were shocked to find out that they really loved the music, and they were shocked to find out we were Christians, and we were able to talk to certain people. There were girls that were trying, believe it or not, there was girls that were kind of trying to some girls were in front of me at that show, and then my wife was right there, and then they said, "Oh, that's your husband." So they moved over to Todd, our bass player, and started dancing in front of him, and because as soon
And
as they
she's
heard,
like, yes,
they're,
that's my husband.
Hey, I
yeah,
never get that.
and then they went over. I still remember Todd's playing bass, our bass player, and these girls are going like this, like,
Oh,
like,
man.
"Come on, baby." Remember, this is a secular crowd,
Sure,
and
sure.
this is a Cinderella fans. But the cool thing about that is we got to talk to them one on one. We had tons of people come up to us after, "You guys were
That's
great,"
good.
blah blah blah, and that is, I think, for people that can handle it and not get sucked into the scene as far as Christians,
Right.
musicians, that's a great place to be, because you can let your light so shine before men that they might glorify your Father in heaven. Because that's where you can like say, yeah, we're about Christ, we're about, and you talk to people one on one. And don't ever forget that Terry brought up a great point one time. Terry Russell, he says, even in Soldier, when they were doing Holy Soldier, he would end up talking to somebody that would talk to him afterwards, but there'd be a crowd behind them, and you're not just talking to this person. About 20, 30 other people are listening to what you're having to say.
Mm,
And
that's
if
good.
you're like have a ministry mind and you're doing it, you're ministering to 20 people all at once.
Yeah.
And if
Yep.
four band members are doing that, I'll give you a good example. Right now, I just talked. We're friends with Dave Williams, which is Straight Eight Entertainment here in Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and he's Brian Head Welch's basic. He's his manager, and what Brian Head Welch's band is Love and Death. There was a recent thing he told us that backstage there's about 50 people around Brian Head Welch, and he's talking to like a few people in front of him, but everybody's listening, and he's giving everybody his testimony about how he turned to Christ and this and that. And I got goosebumps when he told me. I go,
Mm-hmm.
that is awesome, because I mean, maybe he's not on stage preaching and saying, "Hey, Jesus is the way," or whatever. But when you're talking to people one on one, remember, there's especially a guy like him. There's people around that are listening to what you're saying,
That's
and if
right.
you're saying all the right things, you're giving your testimony, and man, that could be some
I
powerful
mean,
ministry
but
that
but how
happens.
many of those people are gonna not come up to you and talk to you after a show if you are up there just saying turn and burn? If that's all your whole message, it's
Hmm.
they're like, well, what's he gonna say to me? But yeah, it's a ministry, and then also, I mean, playing with people who are not believers in other bands. You're on
Yeah.
tour with them, or you're doing shows. There's all kinds of ministry that go on, and that's why I really hate it when people's like, "Why are you playing with that secular band?" and whatever. But that leads into this. I've been in Mortal Fest the last 2 years, so I've seen both bands a few times. I'm looking forward to making plans now to take my kids. They have not been. My two oldest boys, I want to take them this year. They're huge Disciple and Chaotic Resemblance fans, so
Nice.
they're really looking forward to that. We're actually going to see Skillet and KB tomorrow night because they're
Oh, cool.
winter jam and but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But
Awesome.
I remember seeing the advertisement for Sacred Warrior opening for Queensryche. So
Hmm.
I got to know, what was that like? I seen Queensryche 4 or 5 years ago with Todd, and to me he was one of the best vocal replacements for a band probably since Brian Johnson, ACDC. I mean, he was amazing. But anyways,
Yeah.
I just want to what was that like?
So it was really neat. Let's start with the audience. Again, big crowd. When we're up there playing, most of those people didn't know who we were.
Okay,
They're there to see Queensryche.
sure.
And so I would say probably half, if not a little more than half, were sitting down for a lot of our set.
Mm,
But I'm the kind of guy, I address people, I bring it out of people. I'm looking them in the eyes. I'm telling them, all right, get up. You're going to get up for Queensryche. Let's go. You want to rock and roll?
yeah.
And I really can drive people into getting up because I make that connection with them and stuff. And so many people during our songs would just kind of sit there like, and then you get done, they're like,
Yeah.
they loved it. And then after the fact, just like George, at our merch booth, we sold so much merch to People are like, we've never heard of you guys. We're not
Wow.
saved. We're not Christians. You guys are awesome, man. And you sound a lot like Queensryche.
That's awesome.
That was the first half of it. The second half of it, when we were playing, up in that lunchroom area, up on that loft,
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Todd and all them guys, they were up there watching us perform.
Oh,
And yeah, dude, they watched us play like 3 songs. And you could see they're like, wow. So then after the whole set was done, we're helping tear everything down. And a couple of the guys, Eddie and the other guitar player, I can't remember his name, went up to Bruce and Steve, our guitar player, and said, man, you guys are awesome, man. We want you guys to do more shows with us.
oh wow.
Who manages you guys? And at the time, we're like, well, we kind of manage ourselves. And they're
Yeah,
like, yeah, we can't do that.
Oh wow.
So, you have to have a manager, for obvious reasons. Yeah, call my cousin Joey over there in the garage. you know, but they really loved us. And then I had Todd on my podcast. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I know. I'll have to go check that out.
Bro, we talked for 3 hours.
Wow.
Nice.
Todd, the guys in Queensryche already knew who Sacred Warrior was.
Okay.
Todd knew who I was, and he told me that he liked my singing from before. And he was also a big Barren Cross fan.
Okay.
Here's a guy who's an open atheist.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But yet, in my conversation with him, it'll blow your mind, his morals and how much of a stand-up kind of guy he is,
Yeah.
that if he would just make a commitment to Jesus, the just how the Lord would use him.
I believe he's a Striker fan too, right?
He is. He
Yeah.
is. He did a thing with Michael. He
Yeah.
did a song with Michael.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sure did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's for another day.
Yeah.
But he Todd is just a stand-up guy, and he and I have become good friends. We speak often, and
He's
I
from
think
Florida
that-
too, right?
that's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
For now, he's getting ready to move. He hates it down here.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, his mom, her house got hit with the hurricanes
Oh,
twice
man.
this
Oh,
last
wow.
time.
That's rough.
Yeah, he's just kind of just over it. And he's always on tour, and no one's there to take care of her.
Is he
so-
moving? Isn't he moving up here to Nashville?
No, he talked about Nashville. I think he's going to go to Maryland. I think he said,
Oh,
I-
okay.
yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly where it was, but
I think that's beautiful, man. I think that, as one, so, I said I'm a side man, so I definitely played for a lot of different people, the different genres, different things, like all the time. It's all I do. And that's cool. It's a blessing, honestly, because I could be just working at Walmart bagging groceries or something. So,
Yeah.
Hey,
you know
what's
what I'm
wrong
saying?
with
But
that?
I do
That's
come
what I do,
across,
bro.
huh?
That's what I do. What's wrong with that?
Oh. Hey, I've done it, but hey, I won't do it again. I'm gonna tell you that much. But dude,
That's
like,
not what I do.
I think that a lot of people, a lot of Christians, I know I've done it. I'm so guilty of it. But a lot of the approach, a lot of times to like talking about and maybe getting the attention of people that we don't agree with seems to be like just bashing everybody. And I think that the satanic panic, for example, that was definitely a great time of just bashing everybody, whether it be the gays or whoever else. And I do wonder how many people take that same energy and put it into getting to know people, getting to know their stories, getting to know how they can reach out to them for Christ. And, a lot of times that's another thing that I see a lot, just a lot of Christians may not do as much of. And I think we definitely need more of that. So talking about how you got to know, this guy, talking to him for hours and stuff. You never know when he's going to come back to you. Because I've had it happen to me where people have come back to me and been like, like I'm having a hard time in life. What I've seen you have peace, like, this different time, you've gone through things, and it's different than the way I've approached things,
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen. And it's like, so tell me about, I know you're a religious guy somewhat, so, tell me about that. And I think that's like one of the coolest things to happen when it comes to dealing with people that don't know Christ,
A real cool testimony to that is when you're, sharing Jesus with people constantly. And they're like, oh, that's nice. They don't want to hear it. But as soon as they get into some kind of tragedy or something,
Mm.
and they need prayer, who are they going to go to? It's going to be you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, yeah, and you, Jay, it's not your job to say, well, when I preached to you, you said you didn't believe it.
Right, exactly.
You know, that's when we go, you know what? I'm here for you, man. Let's
Hmm.
pray. And you do it. You're doing it right then and there because you know what? No matter whether they say it or not, they believe it.
Mm. That's good.
Come on. If they didn't, are they going to come to you for prayer? Not at all.
Right. That's good.
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, dude, so I got this may be for both of you all. So, do you all have any like musical background when it comes to like theory? Did you either of you all go to school for anything? I know George, for example. I know people kind of look at you sometimes, and I almost hate to use this term, but at the same time, it's also kind of true, like as a guitar hero type of thing, you know. And I know you've played on a bunch of projects and stuff. So, um, have either you had, like I said, just like music theory classes, or like gone to any music schools or anything?
I used to take some guitar lessons from a guy named Donnie, and he was great. All I did with him is funny, is he just bring me a song that you want to learn, and I'll teach it to you. And I'd bring him like Walk This Way, Dream On, or
Yeah.
Aerosmith songs, a Zeppelin song, and he'd teach it to me, and then I'd know it, and then I'd just go, okay. So that was kind of my, hard knocks type of teaching. I had a guitar teacher that was teaching me songs,
Mm-hmm.
and from that, that's how I branched off to, play myself. So, I mean, I think I went to college at one point and took a music theory class, but I think it bored me to tears, so I never pursued it. So now I don't have any formal training, even though I'll tell you one thing though, it's kind of interesting. Um, I was always kind of a metal guy, and I've always been kind of versatile because some of my big influences, I guess, was Carlos Santana, Jeff Beck,
Yeah.
guys like Dave Gilmour. They're still some of my influences. So those are non-metal guys, but they're great musicians, great guitarists. Um, but I really learned a lot of theory and chord structure when I started playing worship music at my church.
Okay.
I remember I started learning not just a C chord or C minor chord. I mean, I started learning seven, C minor seven, C7, A major, sus3, sus2. So I started learning all these different chords because, these guys were saying, hey, play a sus2 on that. I'm going, what the hell's a sus2? so, so, so I started learning, and I really, when I started playing worship at church at Grace Community, that's when I started learning all my chords, and that helped me a lot. That's helped me to actually write songs. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
if you just learn your bar chords and your majors and your minors, man, you're limiting yourself of all the things you can do with your guitar, you
Yeah.
know. And from a lead player standpoint, some guys just learn the pentatonic scale, which is kind of just your
Oh
standard rock
man.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go beyond that and learn your major and minor scales. That way, you know where to go when you're going to play a lead. Because if you don't get to know your neck, if your neck doesn't become your best friend and you know what notes to hit and not to hit, uh, then yeah, you're limiting yourself and you're cheating yourself of what you could do with that instrument. I know I definitely people complained on the first Worldview record. In fact, they said there's not enough shredding on it.
Oh God.
I'm kind of over that, and you're not going to hear a bunch of shredding on this new record either.
Hmm.
You're going to hear melodic leads with singing notes. Um, every once in a while, I will throw an electric. Go, there you go. There's a little technical lick for you. So shut
Yeah.
up. I can still kind of do it, but I choose not to do it. I mean, Deliverance days, I was just going as
Right.
fast as I could on some of the leads, and I just don't play that way anymore. I just don't.
Hmm.
You know?
As far as me is, my mom kind of coached me along in my singing, but really, I really decided to really want to sing. Y'all don't hate me for this, okay?
All right.
After really listening to Tom Jones,
Okay.
That's
Not
cool.
It's not
unusual.
unusual to be
Come on,
loved.
dude. Oh, just the thickness in that man's
Hey, he's
voice.
paid those. That's
The
all that matters.
control, bro. Hey, and I'm not gonna lie, and the honeys, okay, I said it.
Uh-huh.
But dude, when that guy would sing, I would just be like, man, that guy can sing. I saw a special with him, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and he sang that song. Still has it, man, exactly the same. But that's what I would sing, and my mom would always, when I'd be working on something, she'd always come in my room and say, hey, be different, try this, try that, and I started really listening to Queensryche and trying to be like Queensryche, but different. You know what I mean? Not a Queensryche clone, but in that vein, in that style, and that. But Tom Jones was my big inspiration, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well,
Yeah.
tell us. We'll go rate
Him and
and then
hang
George.
on one more
Yeah, go
second,
ahead.
George.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? Ethel Merman, George.
There's no business like show business, like no business
When
like
I was singing this
no.
Oh
weekend,
God.
Dino kept busting on me. He's like, "You sound like Ethel Merman." There's no business like.
That is insane.
You didn't tell Dino to stop. Leave me alone. Let me do it.
No, you can't say that to
You
Dino,
can't. You
man.
can't say that.
No, no.
Oh man.
That's
Tell us
funny.
one thing that nobody watching this might not know about you. Like you got a special talent. You got like 4 degrees. Like something interesting.
So, um, I decided when I turned 50 years old, I wanted to go back to college,
Okay.
right? And I went to college to learn and study occupational therapy.
Interesting. Okay.
And because I'm in construction, I've been in construction my whole life, and I'm like,
Hmm.
man, you know what? Construction's gonna die, but the medical's always gonna be there, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I'm gonna try this. So I went to school. I did my internship at this place out here in Palm Coast called Aero Rehab, and dude, I did not like it because
Oh.
I'm touching old people and doing stretchy this and stretchy, and the people crying and this and that. I'm like, no, man,
Yeah.
I
Not
can't
for
do
you.
it. And so I never pursued it.
Okay.
I went right back into construction. I did 2 years of college
Yeah.
and never pursued it.
But at least
Yeah.
you found out. I mean.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. So that probably for me, that was just as much as I love people, I didn't like touching and crying, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's weird. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. What about you, George?
I'm gonna brag for Ray right now. Something
Tap
I didn't
dancing.
tell
You
you,
gonna tell
but
them about that one?
Okay, so you know what? So while we do that, let's talk about your background. I saw, is it an electronic drum set in the background?
Yeah, that one right there. Yeah.
Yes.
So my boys, they're also musicians.
Okay.
They're writing some great stuff, man. Golly, I wish I could send you some stuff. And they're a lot more modern rock,
Cool.
metal, not
Okay.
metal, but modern rock and stuff. But
Yeah.
Mateo, he's a drummer, he's a guitar player, and he's a vocalist. My son Dylan, who played with us in Worldview last year,
Uh-huh.
did the keyboards.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even his instrument. He's really a drummer,
Oh,
Nice.
but he's a phenomenal drummer, great vocalist, great keyboard player, great guitar player,
That's
and
awesome.
a great writer. Yeah, so they pretty much all of them jokers have it. My other son Chris, he does a lot of my artwork. He's a tattoo guy.
Okay. Okay. I love
Yeah,
it.
but
oh, so you
Yeah.
you raising the kids to be tattoo and music, so you get free music, free tattoos.
there you go. And a free grandbaby. My daughter's giving us one
Oh,
grandbaby.
Okay.
oh,
It's
awesome,
the
man.
best
Congratulations.
grandbaby ever,
What
man.
what's her
yeah.
name?
My daughter's name is Taylor,
Taylor
and my grandbaby's name Amari.
Amari.
All right. All right. Cool.
Amari, yeah.
So you spoil Amari and then send him back to Taylor.
Oh, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. He just started coming over and staying here. He's only 2.5,
Okay.
but he just started where he could come over here and be here without his mom.
Uh huh.
You know what I mean? And yeah, he doesn't ever want to go home now.
Nice, nice.
That little joker is so smart, man. I'll tell you guys a little story. During Thanksgiving, we were supposed to be in this house, but we weren't able to close till the 20th of December, so we didn't do Thanksgiving here. We did it at my daughter's house. And he's 2.5, and we're all hanging out over there, and he goes, hey, Pop. He calls me Pop. You can have a full-on conversation with this kid.
Wow.
Smartest kid ever. He goes, hey, Pop. He goes, you want a cookie? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he takes me over to where the wet bar area is. There's these 2 trays of cookies up there. And he's like, "You want a cookie?" I'm like, "You want a cookie?" And he goes, looks to see where my daughter is. And he's like, "Yeah, I want a cookie." I go, "Are you allowed to eat a cookie?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I'm allowed." So I gave him a cookie. And he's eating it like this. He's like, so I looked at him. I said, "Is that how we're doing this?" He goes, like, "Yeah." So him and I just stood there and we had cookies like this. Just be, it was the greatest thing, man.
That's good. That's creating good memories, man. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and then the first time he ever rode in my boat, he's on my lap. I'm driving. He goes, "Hey, pop up, my boat." I'm like, "No, this is my boat."
Oh snap!
Oh man, but
Love it.
yeah,
That's pretty cool stuff.
yeah, man, yeah.
I don't know. It's like we lost
I
George.
think we
That's
lost
all
George. He
right.
won't come back.
Well,
He
he
won't come
he
back.
he came in late and left early. Hey, whatever. He did his thing.
Oh my
Good
goodness.
old
Well,
George.
cool. Well, we'll ask these 2 questions, and if he comes back on, and he comes back on. If not,
Yeah, man.
nice knowing you, George. No, I'm just playing. No, we love you.
We still gonna hit him up for human code later.
Oh
So
yeah, we're definitely hitting him
Yeah,
up for
yeah,
human code,
yeah.
yeah,
and
yeah. George is a
we'll
good
edit the
dude.
video when it happens. If he's cutting in and
There you
out.
go.
Okay. Anyway, what's your favorite thing about being a Christian, Ray?
So there's a couple of things. One just happened today. My son, let me prerequisite this with what I'm going to say. Him and I are out there fishing today. He's 18 years old, and I, since they were babies, always said to them, "You know what? There's nothing too great or nothing too small that we could ask of the Lord, right?"
Mm.
And I'd always tell him, the Bible says that anything we ask in His name it shall be done according to His will and purpose, right? So I've always told them before we fish, we're going to pray, and we'll go places, and we'll prayed up. My kids are prayed up. We're ready to go, and we'll go fishing, and we'll be the only ones catching anything.
Mm.
Nobody else is catching anything. And then today we went fishing, and we're the only ones catching fish again. These other guys caught a couple little fish in there. And as we're leaving, and here's one of my favorite things about being a Christian is we're leaving, and my son looks at me and goes, "Hey, Dad." I said, "What?" He goes, "I love when I go fishing with you." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you can really see the Spirit is with you
Mm.
when you go with me, and we do really good,
Mm.
And I said, "You have that same Spirit in you, but I love that my kids can see the Spirit in me, my friends, my family, people who know me. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. And number two, favorite thing about being a Christian is when I got saved, I told God, I said, "Listen, I want to marry a pretty little blonde. I want to have all these kids. I want to lead 50 people to Jesus, and I want a big house." Well, He's given me everything: the house, the kids, everything except for I've prayed with over 1,000 people to personally accept the Lord, you know. And for me, when I see the transition in someone, when I pray with them, when they go from just like, "Oh, I'm hopeless and this and that," to you pray with them and they're like, "I feel like this weight just got lifted off of me." That to me, it's not about me, it's about Him, but it's a great reward for me because I get to see that. And then the second half of that is when I meet somebody now and says, "Man, Ray, you know what? 40 years ago, I picked up a Warrior record and I gave my heart to the Lord in my bedroom. And I
Yeah.
started serving for Jesus, started reading my Bible, went to church, and now I'm a pastor in a church."
That's amazing.
To hear the things that God has done through Sacred Warrior
Yeah,
today
Mm.
just blows me away.
That's
that's
amazing.
awesome.
I love it. I love
That's
that.
so good.
Yeah, I love that.
So, what can the Christian metal community do to support, Sacred Warrior, Worldview, the, I guess both the
Jay's over there
bands, Human
cracking up.
Code, all of them. Like, What do you ask your fans and people to do for support?
Honestly, prayer, man. We
Good.
don't ever really we don't ask for you know financial support or nothing like that. We don't do GoFundMe pages or nothing like that. But I do know that in what we do, whether you're going to do it for entertainment purposes or ministry purposes, we're always under attack. You guys, this show, you're under attack.
Mm.
You know, and people need to really. And I've said this on my podcast a lot, and I try to live by it as much as possible. You have to be the prayer kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for the bands, pray for the people in the bands, and pray for them like they're normal people because they're we're no different than anybody else.
Right.
You know. But the other thing too is when let's say we go out, Larry Worley, you know Larry Worley, right?
Oh yeah.
He's real good about person. Hey, we're going to Germany, man. Y'all, please pray for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get 200 or 300. Wow, we're going to be praying. If you say you're going to pray for us, pray. Because just to say the word praying, that don't mean nothing.
There you go.
Right. Exactly.
If you ain't, you don't have to get on your knees, but if you're not going before the Father and say, Lord, God, these guys are out doing a ministry, Lord. Cover them. Protect them. Open ears. Open blind eyes. Anoint them.
Yeah,
That's what we need. You know what I'm saying?
that's good.
And it's important to when bands are asking for prayer to really cover them in that prayer. And not only when they're asking for it, but you know, if you think about it, hey, you know, I was talking to Ray the other day, man. Lord, take care of Sacred Warrior, bless him, help him finish this record, help him this, that, the other, and just be that kind of person. You know, I know 100% without a shadow of a doubt, Bruce Swift, our guitar player, Warrior, every single time, hands down, 100% of the time, when we talk, when we finish our conversation, what's the last thing Bruce is saying? Hey, let me pray with you, Ray. Let's pray.
Wow. That's
Larry, hey, let me pray with you.
Yeah.
Let me pray with you. And it's not because he's trying to prove that he's got this connection with God, but he does because he's in the presence of the Father often.
Mm.
You cannot have a relationship with God and never talk to him.
True.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that's where I would leave that.
man, that's good. Love it. Well, man, we really appreciate your time. This has been fun, and we're gonna definitely looking forward to Immortal Fest again this year.
That's right.
Yeah,
We're
man.
there. Lord
Gotta
willing.
give you guys a big old hug.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
Absolutely, man.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Blessings, man.
All right.
Hey, you